Well, good morning, church. I'm coming to you this morning with a Watchman Minute. In case you weren't aware of what a watchman was, or the biblical definition of a watchman, the watchmen are found mainly in the Old Testament, though not just in the Old Testament. And they were prophets, they were soldiers, they were ordinary citizens, and the watchmen were stationed on towers and on walls and on the streets and in and around the temple. And the job of a watchman varied depending on who you were. The prophets, for example, were to urge God's people to live faithfully and to warn them of the perils involved in falling away from the Lord and doing evil. And if you were on the city walls, if you were a watchman on the city walls, then you were situated in a spot from where you could not only monitor the roads that were coming into town, so if a threat appeared, you could give a warning and they could shut the gates and prepare for battle. But you could also turn around and observe the daily life going on in the city. You could see the activity within the streets. You knew who people were, what they did for a living. You could see the markets probably, and you could see also, if you were positioned near the city gates, you could observe the business of the city going on through the officials. So a watchman had a unique vantage point in which he could see the coming dangers from outside the town, and he could see dangers inside the town as well. So watchmen were careful watchers. That is literally what the Hebrew word means. It means watcher, and it's one who observes closely the going-ons around him. Now, but our responsibility as a watchman is to be watching everything that goes on and around us locally or globally, and to be standing guard, ready to sound the alarm when needed. In Matthew 24 says, if the homeowner had known at what watch of the night that the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and not have let his house have been broken into. I think the emphasis there couldn't be more clear. So always be on guard. Don't be sleeping. Don't be ignorant. Don't be lazy. Be watchful. Be vigilant. Stand your ground. Don't abandon your post. Listen to God. Speak His truth, even more so as the day approaches. So with that, and with that responsibility of being a watchman, I have this Watchman Minute. Now, yesterday I found out that Hinn is coming to the Pacific Northwest area. He's coming into town April of next year for an Easter celebration. And he's being brought in by one of the local churches. As a matter of fact, one of the churches from our town specifically. So I just want to say this, and I say listen up. Matter of fact, I say those with ears, let them hear. Here's what you need to know. Hinn is a false teacher. He's a con man. He is not of Jesus, and he spreads a false gospel. The Word of Faith movement is a false gospel. The prosperity gospel is a false gospel. If a local church supports Hinn and his false movement, then that church is spreading a false gospel as well. There's no two ways around it. So when I saw this last night, I made a comment on the Facebook page of this local church and concerning Hinn being a false teacher, and they took it down. They deleted it. They blocked me. So then I went over to their Instagram page and found out that they'd already blocked me there personally. And then I logged in as our church account, and I made a comment concerning Hinn. And then they took that down, and they blocked our church page. And then all this morning I've been receiving messages from people who also have done the same. They've made a comment concerning Hinn, and they were blocked. And I've been receiving messages also from people who actually attend that church whose comments have been blocked, taken down, and they're no longer allowed to comment on things on their own church page. And which is very sad, because what you see here is that this church specifically is now engaging in the same cancel culture that they speak against. And if that wasn't sad enough, then one of the most depressing things that I read in the comments concerning Hinn coming was a comment from someone who actually attends that church. And this person said, and I'm paraphrasing, but they said, I don't know Hinn, but I don't care. I trust our church. And Jesus talks about this in the Gospels, and he says, if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit. So what that means is you should care. Absolutely. Christians should care and be concerned about wolves like Benny. It's not a time to be spiritually naive or ignorant or spiritually blind concerning matters like this. This is the time to seek the Lord, to pray, to seek His discernment in these matters, and to do your research, right? Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves, as Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 7. I would recommend reading a book by Hinn, who is Benny's nephew. It's called God, Greed, and the Prosperity Gospel. And then I would watch a documentary called American Gospel, Christ Alone. Here it is. And they have more than one documentary. Here's another one that they have. If you have time, watch them all. And then do your research. Just Google Hinn. And there's a lot of videos out there that you can watch on YouTube where Costi clearly breaks down the prosperity gospel and how it's false. Something that he was personally involved in as he worked in the same ministry as his uncle, Benny. Listen, I'm not here to pick fights. I'm not here to be a Grinch. I'm just here to sound a warning. I'm just here to tell you the truth. Many will be lied to and led astray by this, and I don't want you to be. Seek Jesus, I implore you. God bless. Have a great day.